First government job was actually in law enforcement. So I actually left college midway through to actually go to work for the city of San Jose in California as a police officer. I did that for a number of years, really enjoyed it, and then went from there to the Monterey County Sheriff's Department where I was a patrol deputy for about another decade or so. And great experience. The thing it probably taught me the most is that sometimes when you're young and what you perceive a job to be isn't the reality of what the job really is. So I had an image of what law enforcement was going to be, basically based on TV and what I had kind of read. And turned out a whole lot more paperwork and a lot more tedious time just waiting for something to happen than what you perceive, but still loved it. But the message out of that for me was if you go into the job for the right reason, it doesn't matter whether it's your expectation of what it is, it's still a good job and it's still worth doing. A couple of things. One, I've always enjoyed a challenge, and probably one of the reasons that led me into law enforcement is I thrive on challenge. I actually like change, so I always love learning something new, and that's kind of what got me into the IT field after I left law enforcement. Was it's always changing. There's always something else to learn around the corner, and I just always thrived on that. So kind of that feeling coupled with my real desire to talk to people and find out what they need. And again, probably what led me into law enforcement, how can I help people? Those two things coming together early on really opened a lot of doors for me. I would proactively reach out to engage on new initiatives and to work with people on new ideas and new things. And being able to talk to people and really hear what their requirement is or what problem they're trying to solve. That kind of receptive attitude just continually opened doors as I built my career. So. And it still works for me today. So I really highly recommend that. What I'd say first of all is accept that you're human and there's only so much you can do, just be aware of that. Really try to do some soul searching, understand what your capabilities are, be honest with yourself, and then set some reasonable expectations of what you think you can accomplish. I would say if you think you can accomplish a certain amount, put 10% on top of that just as a stretch goal to keep you moving, and then communicate those skill sets and that kind of ability to your managers and your supervisors. And if you're being asked to do something that's beyond that scope, work with your manager, your supervisor to reel it back in. The reality is if you put a 200% effort forward, people will appreciate that, but if you do that long enough, they begin to expect that. So you have to really be careful about being kind of true to yourself. The other thing is don't let it all be about the job. Remember, you have family, you have friends, you have a community. Stay absolutely involved with all that because that's why you're working. It's not the other way around. Kind of related to what we were just talking about doing 200%. I was doing that for a while. I tend to be a little bit of a type A personality, believe it or not. And it was actually a relative of mine, my sister, worked for the federal government, and she was in another agency. But she kind of watched what I was doing as I got my foot in the federal service. And she said, you're setting expectations that you can do all of this stuff, and I know you're putting 200% of your effort into it. What you need to understand is that's going to become accepted, and the minute you try to back down from that, you're going to be underperforming because you were the one that set the expectation level of what's appropriate and what's reasonable for you. So she said, you really have to stop doing that. You have to take time. You have to live life. If you obsess on the job, it will burn you out. That was the best advice I ever got. It was a good lesson to learn, and it's when I try to tell other people when I see them starting to give a little bit too much. While I appreciate the effort, it's like you have to let go a little bit. Definitely networking. It sounds cliche, but get out, work with your peers. If you're in the federal government, work with peers in other agencies. Get into training programs, get into professional associations for whatever your career path is. Just get out and get exposure to how other people are solving similar problems that you're maybe grappling with, and don't try to take it on alone. There's a large community out there that can be supportive, get involved in it, and contribute. So it's a two-way street. Well, that's an easy one. I'll be honest, you can make a lot more money working in some other industries, but to me personally, nothing can beat the feeling of achievement you get from giving back to your community or giving back to your country. That really is what it's all about. It's being able to contribute back to society and to other people and helping people. And you can get that with federal service. You can get that, frankly, with county or even local city-state service. But it's the reality that you know you're giving something back and that you're contributing.